Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the fuck you're tuning in. This is a week overdue episode of Tailgate Trashtalk brought to you by Backyard Sports. I had some scheduling issues last week, so I apologize to everybody out there for interrupting our weekly show. But I got Bentley back with me, bud. How you doing?
I'm a little less animated than I was last week. 50-7 will do that to you going into a bye week after coming off just an egregious game the week before. But I am doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to reopen the wound too much, but I want to give you your opportunity to kind of voice your displeasure. Uh, I I don't know how to put into words sometimes what happens like with officiating because I watched twice LSU gets just like ticky tack calls and then like you get crushed and hit in the head and like talk to me about it, man. How have you been coping? I know 50-7 helps, but
Yeah.
Jesus.
Having the number one graded PFF passer the next week also helps. Like that's pretty cool. Having the best pass rush in the country, the number one true freshman in the country, the number one pass rusher in the country. All of these are things. I just keep looking at all these statistics about my defensive line that really just make me feel better. Having essentially 17 points, but for sure 14 points wiped off the board. We of course are talking about the South Carolina LSU game 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
in which two pick sixes were wiped off the board and long first down throw late in the fourth quarter when we were driving with the lead. After, of course, Little Marcellus goes down with a high ankle sprain. And Robbie Ashford, who, like I said, was the number one graded PFF quarterback in the country last week, had to come in on short notice and take over after halftime. He had a deep pass into LSU territory called off the board by an OPI that I can only describe as a phantom OPI call. Like, I know you and I talked about it offline, and
The broadcast even was like, what did they see?
exactly. Herbie, who loves to agree with the referees and say good call, he was confused.
He
Uh,
was as disagreeable as he gets on the
yeah,
broadcast because he'll never come out and just say like they missed that one. He
yeah,
he'll find a fucking reason to toe the company line. But even he was like, I don't know what that was.
yeah. So I coped in various ways. I was inconsolable that Saturday. Um, that was, for all intents and purposes, the biggest game of the season because it would have led to a 4-0 ranked South Carolina team hosting Ole Miss next weekend. Which, by the way, the disrespect to put Ole Miss and South Carolina on at 3:30 in the afternoon as opposed to the night game,
Yeah.
a lot of that has to do with me having to go to a wedding at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day. But like, still, the disrespect to not give us a night game for that is crazy. Honestly, that's disrespect on Ole Miss's part as well. Like, they're playing a conference game, put them on at night. So I've been coping by going deep into Gamecocks football recruiting Twitter. As you know, college basketball season is right around the corner. Practices have started. I've been watching Cooper Flag highlights. Um, I watched an Oklahoma team who South Carolina has to go to the road to Norman and play them. I watched them make a change at quarterback this week, so that was fun. There's just been various. I've been checking the odds on my Miami ticket to win the ACC, and they just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. So I feel good about where I got them. There are various ways that I've been coping. Watching Jaden Daniels play on Monday night was very exciting. That helped. Nothing. I don't think I'll ever get over like that loss. It was literally stolen from us from the referees, and I do my very best to never blame referees for the outcome of games. And even in this one, we had a chance to kick a field goal to tie it at the end of regulation, but I don't think anyone could stand and tell me with a straight face that the referees did not steal that game from the University of South Carolina. I
Yeah.
mean, the horse collar that was not a horse collar,
Right.
the no roughing the passer call on Lenore Sellers, the pick he threw in the first quarter,
Yep.
the phantom OPI call that was just awful, and then the unnecessary quarterback.
Like,
he's a live defender at that point because the interception has already occurred.
Right. There was no contact to the head. There was no contact with a shoulder or helmet. He literally reached out with two hands and stopped him from pursuing the play. It was a mess of a game by a really just bad officiating crew.
Same crew. So you asked me going into that weekend on our show that previous Thursday night what the deal was with Alabama and South Florida. You were like, yo, what happened? Because South Florida seems to have the number, right? I did not realize until after the game on Saturday, the officiating crew for that South Florida Alabama game was the same crew that called the LSU South Carolina game. In that Bama game, they called 21 penalties. In the South Carolina game, they called, and as I've said many times on the show, the best pass rush in America in college football. They called 22 penalties in that game with South Carolina and LSU, and not a single holding call on the LSU offensive line. You're telling me that the best pass rush in America didn't draw a single holding penalty at home in a primetime. It was early, but it was the game of the week. Like, you're not a single holding call against the best pass rush in America out of 22 flags.
Right.
Crazy.
Ugh.
Now, I will give some credit to LSU. Sorry, we can get to Syracuse. I apologize. I'm taking too much time. I will give credit to LSU. They found a running back in that true freshman. Their offense played much better in their second half. I get it. Yeah. It pains me to see that Robbie Ashford can come out a week later. Granted, it's against Akron, but be the highest rated passer in the country by PFF College, and we're out here playing fucking backyard football, running the right. We're playing Michigan football without Michigan O linemen. Like, that's what we did in the second half. Yeah. Rocket Sanders still had a hell of a game. Right. Like, it was one of the most frustrating games I've ever watched for a multitude of reasons. And if I could have donated my ankle and my ligaments at the time to Lenora Sellers, I would have chopped my own foot off and given it to him.
Yeah, that was a big turning point in that game for sure. And you didn't prepare Ashford to play.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't, right? At that, like, you need to focus on getting, Lenore ready for a big game against LSU. It's very frustrating for sure. And speaking of frustrating, Syracuse decided to drop the ball against ACC powerhouse Stanford. Man, I've talked all year about the fact that, like, the schedule lined up, man. The schedule lined up that Syracuse was going to have a chance. If they could have stolen one from Miami or Clemson, they might have had a chance to sneak into a playoff berth. And I did not expect them to drop the ball against a pretty bad Stanford team too. Like, not just like not a powerhouse. Like, that's not a good team. And it was mistakes. It was Syracuse beat themselves. It was just McCord had a couple of really bad throws. He probably should have had like 3 picks in that game. Even like Gadsden dropped a pretty crucial first down conversion that, like, uncharacteristic for him. It was just an absolute comedy of errors. Oh, so frustrating. But I digress, because Syracuse football is right back where Syracuse football usually is.
Yep. Having the lead, forcing Stanford to convert a 3rd and 9 with 40 seconds to go, and then giving it up is tough.
Yep, absolutely. So,
do you think it was a look-ahead game to Holy Cross this week? Is that what you think it was? Do you think Syracuse was worried about that?
Yeah, they were looking ahead to stat stuffing against Holy Cross. Anyway, let's get into our top 25 action from week 4. So we weren't here to preview it, but we did make our picks. We come right out the gate with Nebraska facing a tough Illinois team, and we talked about it, right? Illinois is going to kind of muddy the game up. They're going to try to slow the game down. And Raiola and company didn't respond very well. They had a lead, but, man, they could not close the deal. And this felt like a Scott Frost loss, if I'm being honest. And I just wouldn't have expected it from a Matt Rule team. Kicking problems. Their kicker gets hurt and they can't kick. And You run into a lot of issues with special teams, which is something that's been the bugaboo for Nebraska, but you still had the lead late in this game. And man, what is Matt Rule going to be able to turn it around there in Nebraska? Do you still think there's enough in the cupboard? Obviously, with Raiola there, they've got a pretty good shot at having a pretty steady offense with that quarterback. But boy, these fucking bonehead beat yourself games are just kind of Nebraska's thing, ain't they?
Yeah, I understand that Nebraska has one of the older teams in the country, but they still have a freshman running the show, right? Like you're putting it all. That entire offense runs through Dylan, which is what you want to do because he's that good. But these are the types of games when you get into. I hesitate to even call it a rock fight because I mean it was 55. They scored 55 points like total in the game, right? That's not necessarily a defensive struggle, but like it was a hard fought 55. You know, there was a scoring drought. It wasn't back and forth tit for tat going up and down the field. This is just what kind of Illinois does, and we'll get to the Illinois game coming up this weekend. This is kind of what Illinois does, though, right? They've done it all year long. They kind of drug teams down to their level, and then they trust Altmaier so much to let him make plays in big moments, and that's just kind of what he did. He let him down late, and they won the game, right? So it was. I thought that Nebraska was fine. You know, they just Dylan made one mistake, and that cost them the game. And that's kind of what happens with true freshmen, right? It happens. I'm not discouraged about this Nebraska team because of that game. I was more encouraged by Illinois going into Husker territory and winning in a raucous environment. You know, I thought that Nebraska was better and they'd be able to overcome it. But I don't really worry about them going forward. I still think they're competitors, at least for the first half of the season, until their schedule gets really tough.
Yeah, they got a real tough back end of the schedule.
Yeah,
that's part of what makes this loss more frustrating, right, for Husker Nation, because I could see a scenario where they're fighting in the last couple of weeks of the season to try to get bowl eligible, even with how tough that second half of the schedule is. Now they should win 6-7 games easily, but dropping this one when you got them at home, you had a lead late, that's a tough one. And you know, the Big Ten is no joke. Big Ten is no joke. So,
nope.
There was something. I had another thing I was going to ask you about, but I wasn't going to ask. I was going to say Illinois has something that not a lot of college football teams have. They have an identity, and they will impose their will on you. Oftentimes, you see kind of college teams. It's you either have the talent and you're just going to outrun everybody, or you get these two quarterback systems that everybody's trying to fucking fake it till you make it. Illinois knows what they are. They know how they want to play ball, and they're going to play that way. And not a lot of college football teams have that. So that was really what we saw against Nebraska. They just wore them down late. Altmaier made some plays late. Raiola made the mistake that he made, and obviously not having a kicker kind of hurt them too. But yeah, Illinois they're a tough team. They're a grinding team. They're gonna wear on you. Ohio State blows Marshall out, but not by enough for us to cover. Clemson, where did this Clemson offense come from? Like 2 weeks in a row. And you said it, we were chatting a little bit this weekend about this game, and you said it, like maybe NC State's just this bad, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see going forward if Clemson's going to be able to score points like that. I think they're going to win a lot of games down the stretch because that defense is still really good. It's always been about whether they can even score 21 points. So, yeah, Mike, 12-team playoff this year, first year for the expansion. Yep. Iowa State beats the brakes off Arkansas State. Penn State rocks Kent State, and he gave me a hard time about Penn State. This was much more for me about Kent State because they are the team that 1 week prior had been offered to shorten the second half because Tennessee was absolutely abusing them. This was very much about Kent State, not me saying that Penn State is an offensive juggernaut. They're still coached by James Franklin. Michigan, USC, or SC, not the real USC. This was an interesting one, and we talked in week 2 after the SC LSU game about SC and whether they could believe in their quarterback. And I think we saw that this weekend that I don't think they even know what they have under center. And Michigan just ran the ball. Like they just kept running the ball and running the ball and running the ball and running the ball. And you can win that way when the other team can't score. Michigan's defense is still pretty good. We talked about that, but what are you to make of SC? Like, are they bad, or are they the team that beat LSU?
No. Here's all right. I will, as Yeti makes an appearance on the show, I will pose a question to you, and then I will answer your question. Given these two teams, if I told you one of these two teams was going to win a national title this year, which team would you say I'm talking about? Michigan
It'd have to
or
be SC,
Southern
because
Cal?
I don't think Michigan can sustainably win like that the rest of the way, right? But
32 passing yards from Alex Orgy this weekend.
yeah,
32.
and
yeah, they won. SC's defense is much better this year than it was last year.
Sure, I agree.
And Miller Moss will continue to grow in that offense and gain more command. And they do have playmakers that are good, right? 32 passing yards, though, for Alex Orgy is not going to get it done long term. They don't have – they're starting 5 new offensive linemen this year. They just don't have the horses to do that.
There's nothing in the cupboard there as far as a passing game either. Like they've lost a lot of playmakers on the outside as well. And you mentioned like Alex Orgy he's not quarterback.
Yeah, they have Colson Loveland at tight end. That's
right.
I mean, that's the only pass catching player of note, and he's not even a receiver; he's a tight end.
Right.
Like, I understand that you have this new running back, the senior. I can't think of his name, but you also have Donovan Edwards. Yeah. Like, I get it. You have a 2-headed monster at running back, and you have Alex Orgy, who's bigger than everybody else on the field and probably more athletic. But he can't throw the ball to save his life.
No.
And, if you remember the last 2 years, that was kind of the bugaboo about J.J. McCarthy. But as the year progressed, J.J. McCarthy proved that he was able to make plays in big moments when they asked him to.
Yep.
But they didn't ask him to make a ton of them, right? I just don't think that Alex Orgy can even do that.
No.
I feel much better about SC being a good team down the stretch of the season than I do about Michigan. That being said, I still think Michigan can win a lot of games. They just are going to have to win them like they're playing Penn State in the second half last year. Yeah, like they're going to run the ball, and then run it again. That's just how Michigan is going to have to play this year.
Yep.
And then play their ass off on defense. I think they might have the 2 best defensive prospects going into the NFL on their roster right now on defense.
Yeah.
And Mason Graham and the cornerback.
He's going to be a top Johnson. Will Johnson. Yeah. Is it Johnson, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
He's going to be like a top 10 pick, I think, at DB. He is fucking a stud.
Man, he'd look real good in a Commander's jersey, wouldn't he?
Yes, he fucking would. Him and Sanders still back together. I like it.
Imagine.
Mikey looks pretty good as a slot corner for us too.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be opposed to replacing St. Just or
anyone. Replace literally anyone.
Right. Just pick a name and replace them with Will Johnson. We're good to go.
I don't care. You can replace a linebacker with them. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, it's 7:21 on Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure Sharon Moore just called another power run to Khalil Mullings.
Yep.
Moving on, we've got LSU, UCLA. LSU wins but doesn't cover. Thanks, LSU. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, coming off of a blowout win over Purdue, decides they're going to lay an egg against another MAC team. They get the win, right? They didn't lose outright, but they didn't look good again on offense against a vastly inferior opponent. What's going on with Notre Dame? Is it just Riley Leonard? Like, are we seeing Riley Leonard, the holes in Riley Leonard's game?
Yeah, I mean, they've downgraded in overall aesthetic in the quarterback position from last year to this year, as well as talent, right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of all there is to it.
Sam
Riley
Martin,
Leonard,
still legendary lettuce.
Yeah, oh, dude. I mean, that guy, he'll be in Hollywood one day with a face like that. And for future, maybe he takes Cliff Kingsbury's role, 15 years from now.
As the best looking coordinator in the game.
Yeah, the hottest coordinator in the game, right? No, but Riley Leonard's good. He's not really good. That's just kind of That's my take on it. Notre Dame's fine. I thought that they were going to be better than they are.
Yeah.
But I don't. This might just be like a week-to-week team going forward. Impossible to predict, really.
That might be what it is, man. And they still how do you not get wide receivers to Notre Dame? Jesus, good Lord. When your best wide receiver over the last 15 years is Chase Claypool.
Oof. No, Golden Tate.
Back to Golden Tate, but that was probably 15 years ago, wasn't it? Wasn't Tate?
Yeah,
quite
it was
a while
ago.
Right? So Chase Claypool is your claim to fame between Golden Tate and 2024. That's a tough look.
Yeah.
Louisville handles business against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech hasn't looked really good since the upset of Florida State, and they've kind of gone downhill from there. But they still have a good ground game. They're going to be interesting late in the season. They might be a team you got to watch. These ACC games, they could be, upset central potentially. NIU coming off the big upset I mentioned a moment ago with Notre Dame. I believe they had a bye week between Notre Dame and UB, and whatever it was. But you come in and you're hosting the University of Buffalo, near and dear to my heart. And the Bulls not only beat the spread, they actually beat them outright. So NIU spends 1 week inside the top 25, and they're back out.
Bye.
That's a tough look because they're among a handful of teams that are in these what we used to call the group of five. Now it's the group of three or whatever. But whatever it is. The non-power conferences, I guess we'll put it that way, but they're among a handful of teams that have aspirations for being that highest ranked non-power school to get into the playoff, and that's not going to get it done. You losing to UB. UB's got a little something going. They got a little juice, but you can't lose that game if you have aspirations to get into the playoff.
Nope.
Utah, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was favored in this, and we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. If Cam Rising plays for Utah, Utah is a title contender, really, but definitely a playoff contender. However, Isaac's starting to look pretty good, pretty comfortable in that offense. They're not gonna take the top off of defenses and really ram it down their throats with him versus Rising, because Rising is so much of a difference maker. But talk to me a little, is this Utah offense going to start to threaten people? Because that defense, we know what that defense brings to the table.
Yeah, for sure. Defense goes without saying. They're one of the best. I don't. He's never going to be explosive. I don't imagine the way that Cam Rising is. But you mentioned it. He's looking better every week that he plays. Cam Rising actually played one snap in this game, so this was a 4-quarterback game because Utah State decided that they needed to make a switch as well, which may have been the right decision. Made a late comeback, late charge, cut it to 3. But, I expect Utah to still be good, right? They're going to be a defensive-led team, and they're probably going to try to run the ball as much as they can. But they're going to miss that explosive side that Cam Rising brings. But, as we see every year, there are quarterbacks that get better as the season goes along. And, the Isaac kid was Isaac Wilson was recruited for a reason, right? I think that you and I both trust Kyle Whittingham when it comes to bringing in talent. I can't imagine that he's going to play worse as the year goes along, right? So if they are still a playoff team, borderline title contender without Cam Rising, I wouldn't be entirely shocked. But like you said, I think they're a national title contender with Cam Rising playing under center.
Yep, for sure. Moving on down the line, Mizzou. Wow. Escapes against Vanderbilt. And realistically speaking, Vandy should be disappointed that they didn't win this game.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened between the first 3 weeks of the season with Mizzou just beating the brakes off of everybody. It's covering enormous numbers. I think they had one that was 49.5 and covered to this. And they were laying only 20. It felt like only 20 with Vandy coming in, and I guess Vegas knew, right? Vegas knew better than Vegas gave themselves credit for. Mizzou escapes by a field goal against Vandy, and it didn't look good for a long stretch of this game. Are you worried about Mizzou going forward? Because I think we agreed coming into the season that we thought Mizzou was a bit of a dark horse in the SEC. They could make some noise and potentially be a playoff team. Are you scared about that take?
I'm not scared about the take. I do just love Diego Pavia, though.
Yeah,
he might be my favorite quarterback in the country.
nice.
I love Cam Ward.
You loved him last year too.
Yes, New Mexico State, dude. Like that kid.
Yep.
He hasn't thrown a pick yet this year.
Yeah.
He's a clean sheet in terms of throwing the ball. If he does not get hurt, I might just start betting on Vandy to cover every game because they're incredible. Yeah. Like they just go out and they drag teams down, and he runs the ball. Yep. Like he seeks out contact when he tucks it, and he makes good decisions because that's what Diego Pavia does. I mean, Vandy is no longer the doormat of the SEC. That has now shifted to Starkville. But Diego Pavia is the truth, and this Vandy team, at least for this year, we'll see going forward, but at least for this year, this Vanderbilt team is actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
Fun to watch, for sure. Mizzou found out. Miami goes and beats up on South Florida. Cam Ward continues to make the game of football look easy. Tennessee, not as big a win as they've had in a few weeks, but they go and cover against Oklahoma, 10-point win. As you mentioned, Jackson Arnold, is he the guy going forward? Are we going to see them kind of shifting that two-quarterback system where, we like to say if you have two, you have none, right? If you have one, you have one. You have two, you have none. That sort of thing. Like
they're going with the other kid. They're going with Hawkins next week.
So they've already made the decision that they're going to change starters. Not a good look, especially for a guy that was, a big-time 5-star quarterback recruit and was supposed to be the guy in Oklahoma.
That game, sorry, not to cut you
you're
off.
Good.
That game was not as close as the score indicates. No. I don't think. Nico did not play his best game, but that's because the Oklahoma defense was good, not great. And then I think the most impressive unit from this game, in my opinion, was that defensive line for Tennessee. Oh, yeah. They're ferocious. They're very good. Yep. Josh Heupel, I heard this bit. I vaguely remember this being a thing. Somebody asked him when he was hired at Tennessee, you're bringing in this up-tempo offense. How's you guys are going to score a million points? And he stopped the reporter. He said, "Hey, don't bucket me in with the Lincoln Rileys and the Chip Kellys, these high-powered up-tempo." He said, "We're going to play defense at Tennessee." And they are.
They've delivered.
Their defense is good. Their defense is really good, man. They showed me that they can win in multiple ways because we've seen the Kent State game, 70 to whatever, or 70-0, I guess it was. Yeah. And now we saw them go in and win a low-scoring, slow-paced affair against a good Oklahoma defense, right? Like that Oklahoma defense played as well as you can against such a high-powered offense that they have in Tennessee. And I know it was only a 10-point game, but I thought that Tennessee – I didn't think there was ever a second in that game where Tennessee was really threatened by that Oklahoma offense.
Agreed. That was a comfortable 10-point win.
Yeah.
It felt more like an NFL 10-point win.
Yeah.
It does appear, though, that Venables, you mentioned Oklahoma's defense is looking better. It does appear that Venables is kind of turning things around there. His first year, it wasn't good. It was bad when Lincoln Riley was there. But you had to kind of expect if he was going to turn it around, it was going to take – you got to fill the cupboard with something, right? Lincoln Riley, I think he recruits defensive players like just he goes and picks people from the stands and is like, you want to come play defense this week? Because he doesn't go out and get the studs from recruiting classes on the defensive side of the ball. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, really a scare, a big time scare against for what is pretty widely accepted as like a really bad Bowling Green team. And I'm probably going to have to walk back what I said after the A&M Notre Dame game, that I thought Connor Wegman looked like he was poised and he might be a guy. Boy, he looked like fucking shit this weekend. And that A&M team altogether looked like shit. And they are very, very fortunate that they were able to escape the scare from Bowling Green. Man.
Luckily for you, Connor Wegman didn't play this weekend, so it was Marcel Reed that looked bad.
Oh, is that what it was? See, I didn't watch
it
the
wasn't
game.
Wegman. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
then, I had it on
walk it back.
I had it on a second screen.
That's on me. I didn't watch the. I saw the score and I was like, "Geez,
yeah.
Wegman might not be the guy." But
yeah,
I forgot he was questionable for the game. So,
fun fact about Texas A&M quarterbacks: there may be a future one playing at Florida right now because DJ Lagway is from the state of Texas.
Yeah, he's from
just
Stillwater area or something, isn't he?
Yeah, just something to keep an eye on for the future.
Yeah, Florida better keep that in mind if they are going to move on from Napier. I know they've been trying to gather the money to.
They don't want a UNLV situation where they can't afford to pay their quarterback, so he decides to leave.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that happened today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on me. I should have checked the stat box. I just assumed Wegman played like shit when I saw the score this weekend. So,
well, he played so bad he wasn't even on the field.
Right, exactly. He was on the fucking sideline.
And that could have been the difference between covering and not. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Possibly. Ole Miss does what Lane Kiffin does, covers against a bad team, big number, 36.5. That offense is absolutely dangerous. Jackson Dart is what's that?
Said we'll see. They might be.
We'll see against that pass rush, man. That's going to be the real test because they haven't really. It's not like they've played a bunch of fucking heavy hitters so far to start the season either. So we'll see. But Jackson Dart is filling up the fucking stat sheet. That's for sure. Chasing Heisman maybe. Texas ULM, and we got our first look at Arch as the starting quarterback. Now, I know he played the week before when Ewers got hurt and looked really, really good in relief. But, dude, if Texas wins a national championship this year, how good would you feel if you were truly a Longhorn? I know you've been on the Texas train since last season, but if you were truly a Longhorns fan, and if Texas is good enough and goes and wins a national championship this year, how goddamn good are you feeling that you have Arch Manning taking over next year after winning a national championship? Like, Jesus, he looks good.
I don't know that I feel that great for the simple fact that we know how difficult it is to repeat.
Sure.
We saw Georgia. We saw Georgia do it, but flex life forever. You're not going to trade in a championship, right? Even if Arch never wins one, you'll take the one with Quinn, 100%.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking, oh, we win one with Quinn, and then we have Arch just walk in and we win another one, that's tough. I don't know.
You got to feel good though.
You feel great, 100%, absolutely.
Right.
But
it's not a guarantee. That's for sure.
Not a guarantee.
Yep, I agree.
But Arch, I thought that Arch played very well in his first actual start. He didn't play phenomenally. He didn't light the world on fire. But I thought
also UL Monroe. They were playing pretty vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, local kid, family from Louisiana. Maybe they wanted to stick it to him. I don't know. I'm just looking for him. Should have come here.
Yeah, I should have come down here with the Warhawks.
Yeah, right.
If they're going to win one with Arch, it's probably going to have to be next year because I think he's probably leaving after his junior year. Maybe not. He seems to like it there in Austin.
Well, he redshirted last year, right? So he was a redshirt freshman?
I don't think so.
I thought he redshirted.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure because he didn't hit the games threshold.
Did they end up? Was that a retroactive redshirt?
Let's see. Yeah, they have him listed on ESPN as a freshman, so I'm assuming he redshirted.
He must have done, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they retroactively redshirted him. Either way, I mean, 3 years, redshirt sophomore.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. And we finished out the week with K-State, Boise, or BYU.
Liv Moss, baby. Liv Moss.
The hardest team to fucking handicap, huh? K-State. Holy shit.
Yeah, they just got manhandled, dude.
They got bullied by BYU.
Yes. I've said it every week on the show. I don't know what to expect from the quarterback. Is he good? He played really good against Tulane. Like, he was probably the reason they won that Tulane game. And then they go out to Utah, and he looks like he's never thrown a pass before in his life. I'm like, what are we doing here? I get that BYU is good, but like, you're supposed to get better as the season goes along, buddy.
He disagrees.
Like, Avery Johnson, you're fast as shit. I got it. Throw a fucking pass to your own team, buddy.
Yeah.
So to me, they seem like a team where if they get down like 10, just bet the other team's money line. Like, if you can snag them still at plus money, bet that, because they're not playing for behind. They're just not. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. They just don't seem to have the firepower through the air, man, and it really does fall on the shoulders of Avery Johnson, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up week 4. Do you want to talk a little bit about South Carolina's game this weekend? It was not in the top 25, so.
Oh, you mean the game we won 50-7 with the number 1 rated PFF college quarterback this weekend, Robbie Ashford? That game? You mean?
That one.
Oh, yeah, where Nick Harper had a catch in the first half?
Oh,
that
my
game?
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to talk about that one, how we won 50-7. That's fine. I won't, that's 5-0. That 5-0-7. Yeah. No, that's fine. We don't have to.
We won't talk about the 50-7 win.
Yeah. Or how Kyle Kennard is tied for the nation's leader in sacks and quarterback pressures and forced fumbles.
Boy, those fucking bookends.
Yeah, we don't.
Pressures, holy shit.
Yeah, we won't talk about them too much, though. No, we don't have to mention it. It's fine.
Sounds good.
Tulane covered again, by the way. They're 3-1 against the spread. So
yeah.
Just go ahead.
And the only one they didn't cover was Oklahoma, and it was a weird kind of set of circumstances. Yeah. So
South Carolina also 3-1 against the spread. In case you're, interested in those types of things.
Yeah. Yeah. In case you're a degenerate like us.
Yeah. Like it just. I mean, just in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, we opened the week with Virginia Tech and Miami. We're both on Miami. Virginia Tech, there was a little bit of steam behind them as like a quiet team to watch in the ACC this year. Doesn't seem to be coming to fruition, really. There's still some talent there. They might be a problem in terms of teams handling them, but it seems we're both confident that Miami, with the way that Cam Ward looks and what they're working with there, Restrepo is just that chemistry they've got immediately is pretty damn good.
Yeah, they've got. Well, so I told you probably was it after week 1 that I'm not betting against Miami. Like, I'm just after the Florida game, I think it was. Yeah. I said I'm just on Miami.
Yeah.
So they brought in Dylan Martinez from Oregon State, stud running back, right? They also have 4 receivers, I think it is, with 12 catches or more. So that shows me that Cam Ward is spreading the ball around and that he's got weapons. Obviously, Restrepo being the best of them down there, but like they're fucking good, dude. They're really, really good.
Yep. Miami might be back.
Hey.
Ole Miss, Kentucky coming off a week, kind of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
they
probably should have won that game.
Yeah.
Real tough. Why did Stoops punt that ball? 4th and 8. Why do you punt? You're playing the number 1 team in the country at home. Why do you punt the ball? I get that your offense hasn't done dick all game. You're trying to get the biggest win in your program's history.
Yeah.
You cannot play for field position. You just can't.
You got him on the mat too. Like, ooh, man.
That was crazy. What are you doing, Stoops? Stupid Stoops.
Now they got to go to Oxford and deal with Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin. Good luck.
An offense that is better than Georgia's offense. I promise you that. I
agree. Yeah, you're not getting Carson Beck throwing to the other team this game. Minnesota, Michigan. We both got Michigan covering. I think this is more of an indictment on Minnesota's just not going to be able to move the ball against that defense, and Michigan should probably run for 250 yards and score 21 to 28 points and cover comfortably.
Yep.
Oklahoma State, Kansas State. We're on opposite sides on this. You're riding the Kansas State train again?
Yeah, bounce back week. Also, I think there may be some I don't know. I was high on Oklahoma State coming into the season. I really will. I gave out Ollie Gordon at the end of last year. He's been underwhelming. They may have a quarterback issue at Oklahoma State. I don't know if the 25-year-old is getting it done. I love Mike Gundy. Don't get me wrong. Go Pokes. But, like, I think that Avery Johnson is good. And we've seen Oklahoma State's offense struggle to score. So if they get off to a slow start, it might be lights out early for the Pokes.
Yeah.
Also like bounce back game for K-State, you know?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at it as either one of these teams. It's a bounce back, right, for either one of them. I don't know that I trust Kansas State at this point, man. They've burnt me on both ends at various points this season, covering when I didn't think they would, and then not covering when I thought they would. And what I saw against BYU last week, Oklahoma State would probably bully BYU. So I don't know.
The same Oklahoma State team that got bullied by Arkansas?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. Arkansas's got something going there, man. Bobby Petrino's got that offense going. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like what I saw from Kansas State last week, and I think that's probably more why I made this pick. Plus,
that's Mike totally fair.
Man, he's 50 now, right? He's not 40 anymore.
He's forever 40. I don't care what anyone says. Still a man.
Still a man. Still 40.
Got to clarify that in today's day and age.
Yeah, for sure. BYU Baylor. We're on opposite sides on this as well. I'm taking the points with BYU. I wouldn't be surprised if BYU won this game outright. I know Baylor is playing better football, but I think the devastating conclusion to the Colorado-Baylor game is going to stay with them. And I think BYU has found something that works for them in that game against Kansas State, and they're going to do similar things to Baylor this week. Why you got Baylor?
Letdown spot. Letdown spot. BYU coming off that huge win, dominating K-State. Just a letdown spot. Going on the road, going down to Frisco. I think Baylor's probably pissed. I bet you they ran a lot of sprints that defense did. Yeah, like your dad's asking here.
Yeah, that's the game, right? That's the game. You give up a Hail Mary, and then you go and lose in overtime the way they did.
They got that ball punched out.
Yep.
I believe I read this. So Travis Hunter punched the ball out going into the end zone. I believe that was his 143rd snap of the game.
Dude, he's like unbelievable.
I mean, that's just freak of nature stuff, right? Like that. I don't know that anyone else on the field makes that play other than Travis Hunter, right? Yeah. And if he scores there, it's a completely different ballgame.
Oh yeah,
yeah, sure. Like yeah, that was one of the worst beats.
Fucking snaps, holy cow!
Yeah, that was one of the worst losses. Snatching loss from the jaws of victory type deal I may have ever seen.
Yeah, that's devastating. But hats off to Colorado for staying with it. Hats off to Travis Hunter for competing in a moment when you could easily have just been like, well, fucking game's over and moved on. But he might be the number one pick next year. I doubt it. Quarterbacks usually go number one, but he's going to be a top 5 pick, two-way player. And he just seems to love the game of football and hustling in dire moments. That hats off to them. Hats off to them for staying with it for sure.
And if he wants to stay in college, he'd look really good in garnet and black down in Columbia.
There you go.
We got some NIL cash.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? Like,
yeah. Little better air than all the way up there in Boulder.
Yeah. Come down to sea level, brother. Get some oxygen in your lungs. Easier to play two-way down here.
Yeah. Oh, Wisconsin against SC. SC's laying a couple touchdowns. Wisconsin's pretty bad. And I think we agree. SC's a little better than they were last year defensively. Got to see that offense get it going. Wisconsin's defense is not Michigan's defense, though. So we might see a little bit of a bounce back from Mr. Moss this weekend.
Yep. There's no Mason Graham there in Wisconsin.
Right. Notre Dame, Louisville. Notre Dame's laying 6. This this wasn't an easy pick for me because I think Louisville is playing good football. I just think that Notre Dame's defense is going to be a bit much for that Louisville offense. And I think this could be, if they cover 6, it might be 17-10, something along those lines. Be sweating it out at the end of the game.
Yeah, I was not convicted at all with this pick. I think that Louisville might be a live dog, honestly, in this spot. But I again, not convicted whatsoever in this pick. I don't feel great about it.
Nope.
I agree with you. Louisville's playing good, but
yeah,
that defense in Notre Dame is they're just good.
They are.
They just are
defensively. In transparency for the viewers out there, I don't think I'm going to put this one on my ticket this weekend.
No, I will not be betting this game. I will not be betting that game
because I have to.
Yes,
but do not bet the mortgage on Notre Dame.
No. After the beating I took last week, I will not be betting that game.
Yeah. OU Auburn. We're on opposite sides here. I don't know what we're going to get from OU. I don't like when we get these quarterback swaps. I understand the idea behind it. You're trying to get some juice. You don't like what you've seen from Jackson Arnold so far, but I don't love midseason quarterback changes, especially at the college level, because you're kind of toying with emotions of young adults, and it's tough. Now, Auburn has been up and down this year, so they could easily be down. They're in Auburn. I don't know. Are you confident in Oklahoma?
I'd tell you who I'm not confident in. That's Hugh Freeze down there in Auburn. They threw 4 of the worst interceptions I've ever seen last week.
Yeah.
And dear God, you just talked about not liking midseason quarterback changes. He murdered 2 of his quarterbacks in a press conference last week, and then had Bo Wallace come out and shit on him in an interview. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean don't like midseason quarterback changes? Ain't nobody doing it worse than Hugh Freeze right now. Oh, come on.
But they came into the season with the 2 quarterbacks that he just shit on.
He threw them under the bus, pulled it forward, and then backed it up and ran them over again.
Yeah. I don't know what we're gonna get with Oklahoma, man. They don't seem like they've got any juice on offense, even with Jackson Arnold playing. Now we're talking about a backup quarterback. We'll see.
It's all they got to do is win by field goal.
This might be a 9-7 game.
Fuck. It might be.
It fucking might. Like,
I expect Oklahoma to score more than that.
Okay.
I expect Oklahoma to score in the 20s.
Okay.
If Oklahoma, regardless,
I'll say this: if Oklahoma scores in the 20s, they cover, and they cover probably easily.
Yeah.
This could be like a fucking. Everyone runs the ball 150 times this game, and it's 3 field goals for one team, and the other team punches one in, or something like. This could be the worst game of the weekend, honestly, from a viewership. Viewership perspective, it could be one of the worst games this weekend.
That's for sure. Great colors, though. It'd be beautiful to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Arkansas, Texas A&M. We're both on A&M -4. We've talked about Arkansas and kind of what Bobby Petrino is doing there, and neither of us made the pick here. This was a bit more about being in College Station for me than it was, that I think Texas A&M is that much better. If this was in Fayetteville, I probably would have taken Arkansas +4. If it was still it wouldn't be +4 if it was in Fayetteville. But if I was getting 4 points with them at home, I would have taken them. But being that it's in College Station, I think that's really what swung me A&M's way.
Yeah, I agree. This was the road pick for me. If I'm going to bet this game, I need to wait and see injury reports for Arkansas as well for A&M, see who's playing quarterback.
Yeah.
For the sake of the show, I went with the home team. They still have a talented defense. I still think they're pretty good. I trust in Mike Elko. I think he's a good coach. So you give me the home team. Again, if I'm going to bet this game, I'll need to see who is playing running back for Arkansas and quarterback for A&M.
Yep, for sure. Mississippi State and Texas, and you just mentioned it. The worst team in the SEC might be in Starkville. It's bad down there. And when you're a 39-point dog in a conference game as an SEC team, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
But Texas is that good, and Mississippi State is probably that bad.
Do you think ULM is better than Mississippi State?
Ooh. The fact that I even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad. Mississippi State, there's almost no redeeming characteristic of this Mississippi State iteration. Man, it's tough down there right now, Starkville.
Yep. Shout out Mike Leach, though. Shout out Mike Leach, because this was not supposed to be how it was going in Starkville.
No.
So shout out Mike Leach. R.I.P.
R.I.P. buddy. R.I.P. All right, Oklahoma State, Michigan State. You've got Michigan State. You're going to take the 24 points. I'm going to lay in with Ohio State because I think Michigan State, much like Mississippi State, is very bad. You don't trust Ohio State's offense?
Yeah, not yet. So Ohio State's offense, the drives that I've watched, the games that I've watched, I haven't watched a full sit down, start to finish game of Ohio State, but I've watched a lot of them, right? They don't have a real flow to their offense. They have home run hitters. They have 4 guys on that team that can go the distance of the field on any given play. But they don't impose their will the way that I thought they were going to. They're not running for 7-8 yards of carry. They're not hitting 15, 16-yard chunk pass plays. They're hitting 70-yard touchdowns, right?
And if 3 and outs.
Exactly, right? So I trust their defense empirically. I don't have any issue with that. But if Michigan State is able to keep everything in front of them, I think they can keep this relatively close. I also trust the Michigan State coach.
Yeah.
Jonathan Smith.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Boom.
Real basic guy.
Nailed it.
Let's see. We've got Stanford, Clemson. Stanford coming off the huge upset win over. I'm just kidding.
It was an upset. What do you mean?
It was an upset, but Syracuse laid an egg, and Clemson's 21.5 point favorites. Do you think Clemson keeps the offense going this week?
Probably.
The points, but
yeah, I mean, probably. I don't. Is Stanford that good? I don't. They still have that receiver, Eric. Io Minor or whatever. Io Minor.
Minor or whatever it is.
He's really good, but
very.
I don't know if I could name another player on the roster outside of his.
Nope.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Nope. That's an NFL wide receiver, and they have nothing else.
Yeah, it's tough.
He's the one that basically single-handedly beat Colorado last year when they were down by fucking 100 points, and he had 210 yards, I think it was, in just the second half. Holy fuck.
With that catch off Travis Hunter's back where he drug him into the end zone.
Yep. Unreal. Dude was out of his mind. Iowa State, Houston. Iowa State laying 14. Iowa State looks good, man. The last couple of weeks, they got the win against Iowa in the rivalry game, and then they hung a good number last week. Inferior opponent, but they're now ranked, and they're playing Houston, who it seems is going to be down this year. They're struggling a bit, laying 2 touchdowns here with Iowa State. More about Iowa State or more about Houston?
More about Iowa State. I like their defense. They're pretty good. I don't think that Houston's offense is going to be thriving this weekend. No. So give me the 14. They win by 16. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I agree. Georgia, Bama. We're both on Bama +2, and you can see in my caption here, I got Bama money line in this one. I don't know how you feel about it, whether you're just taking the points or not, but I will have a Bama money line entry on my ticket this weekend.
Yep.
It's a home game, but also I think they're going to turn Carson Beck over 2 or 3 times this weekend. I anticipate Bama's defense really getting after Carson Beck and company. And Georgia's offense doesn't scare me the way it has the last 3 years.
Yep.
You lose guys like McConkey and Bowers and the running backs that they've lost. And I know they brought in ETN, but it doesn't seem like they've really gotten a rhythm with ETN yet in terms of getting that offense going. And I'm still like 100% disagree with anybody out there that says like Carson Beck is a guy. I don't think he's he should have been in the Heisman conversation. I don't really trust him to win a game like this. We saw it last year in the SEC championship game, and I think we're going to see very similar here in T-Town. I think Bama's defense is going to turn him over a couple times, and we're going to see Georgia get knocked off the pedestal, and Bama might be ranked number 1 going into next week. How do you feel about it?
I as well. So I have a ticket already for Bama. I got them at 2.5.
Oh, nice.
I believe you can still find them on certain books at 2.5. I will be putting in a ticket for the money line for Bama. Alabama's averaging 49 points a game this year. Georgia almost lost to a Kentucky team who gave up 31 to South Carolina. Like, I agree with you about Carson Beck. You and I have kind of both been on this. I don't know that he's special. He's obviously very good. Starting quarterback at Georgia, you can't be bad and be there, right? But, like, he's not a difference maker in the way that Jalen Milroe is. He's not a threat to run the ball. And he's not the passer that, like, a Brady Cook or a Jackson Dart is, right? You know, it's – I'm going to say something that may be a little controversial. I kind of trust Kalen DeBoer more than I trust Kirby Smart. I just kind of do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think like he's got this Bama team playing, and they've kind of hit the ground running more than I thought that they would. And I know they struggled kind of early against USF and pulled away late, but Jalen Milroe looks like he's comfortable in this offensive scheme, and it's not that surprising because what did Kalen DeBoer do with a guy in Michael Penix who at times looked very uncomfortable at Temple, but he was a guy who could just run around and run around and run around. That's kind of what Jalen Milroe has been the last couple of years last year, especially as the full-time starter under Nick Saban. He looks really comfortable in this offensive scheme.
Yeah.
And for a team that I wasn't real sure what the wide receiver core was going to shape up to be this year, they look good. They got some weapons. They look like
17-year-old.
Yeah. They look like they've got some complementary weapons to go along with a very good run game and a defense that's playing very good football right now.
Yeah,
so I'm with you.
All over him.
Yeah, I think I'm with you that I don't think it's that spicy of a take to say that Kalen DeBoer he's doing the damn thing, and you might trust him more than Kirby Smart in this game.
We're gonna find out for sure whether I feel good about my preseason pick of them to win the SEC. We're gonna find out this weekend.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as previously spoken of, Illinois travels to Happy Valley to take on Penn State, who's laying 19 points. Now, I know Penn State scored 50 points last week. I know they've had a couple of games that they've exploded on really bad teams, but they also nearly laid an egg. James Franklin essentially almost said, like, I'm not going to wait for a ranked team this time. Illinois is going to dirty this game up, and I think Illinois has the beef to be able to stick with what I have said is one of the best rosters James Franklin, probably the best roster James Franklin has had in Penn State, right? From a roster perspective. Now, we both have said profusely and often, like, we don't trust James Franklin no matter what the talent level is, but Illinois has the bodies, they have the mentality, and they've got an identity to be able to kind of muddy this game up against Penn State. And that's why, like, 19's too many for me.
Yeah. That's a lot of points against a ranked opponent.
Right.
Did you know that similar to last week with the Red Bandana game at Boston College, which we didn't get to talk about, but one of the best traditions in college football, the Red Bandana game for BC. This is a whiteout game in Happy Valley. James Franklin, let me hesitate. Penn State, I'm not sure he's been there the whole time for this. Penn State is 11-8 straight up in whiteout games. Not ideal if you're bringing in big time opponents.
Not ideal.
Not what you want to see when you're rallying all the troops. You're only 3 games over 500.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, man. Illinois, they're going to muddy this game up. They could
Yep.
slow it down, and they trust Luke Altmaier to make plays in big moments, and he's done it so far this year.
Yep.
I might take Illinois to win this game.
Little money line it. Dude, you can get real juice with a 19-point dog.
Yeah, what are we looking at here for?
Got to be what, 850 or so?
It's money line. We're looking at. Okay, I see plus 475.
Oh, really? That low?
Oh no, plus 750. Excuse me, plus 750.
Okay.
Yeah,
750. All right.
Yeah,
that's good juice for a team a ranked team to get that kind of juice.
Yeah,
that's solid. And yeah, you mentioned the red bandana game. We didn't talk about it. You and I talked about it in chat. They won that game. They beat Michigan State by 4.
Yes, they did.
So
yes, they did.
Easy money, free space when it's the red bandana game.
One of the sickest jerseys in all of college football.
Oh yeah.
If y'all out there don't know about the red bandana game from Boston College, do yourself a favor. Yeah, Google it. Their jerseys are incredible, and it's for a super cool.
Yeah.
One of the BC alum was working in New York City on 9/11 and rushed into harm's way and saved 16 people from the World Trade Center catastrophe, right? The terrorist attack. And every year in September, they recognize, I believe his name is Wells.
I think so.
And they turn all of like the number and script and everything on their jerseys to the red bandana, and they're some of the cleanest jerseys in all of sports.
Yep, for sure. Onward, South Alabama heads to the Bayou to play LSU. LSU's laying 22. Inferior opponent at home. LSU better cover 22, or they might need to reconsider what they're doing on offense. You mentioned they've got a running, they lost a running back, but found a running back. Looks like they should be okay on offense, and we'll see. Boise State hosting Washington State. We're on opposite sides of this. I don't think Washington State's going to win this outright. I'm not putting a ticket in for the money line, but they're scrappy, and they showed me a little something in the Apple Cup that they're not going to go away just because the Pac-12 did.
Sure. Well, it's back. So
what's that?
So well, it's back, but
yeah. But it died for a little bit. They brought it back to life. That'll be something. That'll be a good conversation going ahead. If people out there haven't heard, the Pac-12 is already angling for teams. We knew they would. They weren't going to just go away quietly and take their ball and go home. Poaching from Mountain West and looking at some other conferences to try to bring in some folks to get that conference back up and running, because basically Oregon State and Washington State were left holding the bag after everybody else ran for the bigger dogs on the East Coast and in the Southeast and in the Midwest. They just kind of dispersed throughout.
There's a couple teams. There's a couple teams on the West Coast that would fit really, really good into that Pac-12. Thinking maybe Stanford, UCLA, Southern Cal. Yeah, Cal. Those would be. I mean, those would be great additions to a brand new Pac-12 conference.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, they'd fit right in.
Yeah,
they probably have some old T-shirts laying around somewhere that has that logo on them.
Yeah. You confident in Boise though?
Yeah, 2 words. Ashton Genty.
Yep.
Coming off a bye week.
Yep.
Yeah. Give me the fresh legs.
Fresh legs.
Yeah. Talk about home run hitters.
Oh yeah.
My God.
Yep. Anywhere in the stadium, he can touch the end zone. That's for sure.
Yep.
Utah hosts Arizona. Arizona was kind of our darling pick coming into the season. It hasn't really come to fruition. I think they missed Jed Fish a lot. And I think it's gonna be tough sailing for them, despite the fact that they still have a really good quarterback wide receiver combo. It's just it feels like a balloon that's had like the air let out of it. For Arizona, and Utah's defense is suffocating anywhere in the nation, but you got to go up to Provo and you've got to go play against them up that way, and it's not great.
Nope. Not great. Did I tell you the joke I saw about Jedd Fisch.
No.
So somebody goes, man, Arizona is no longer good because they're not coached by Jedd Fisch. And Washington is not good because they are now coached by Jedd Fisch.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
And I know I just misspoke. Provo's BYU.
Yeah.
But
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. Same sort of. You just get more elevation in Salt Lake.
Yep. Yeah, it's even harder to win there.
Even more suffocating.
Especially when the sun goes down. We've talked about it. Nobody wins in Salt Lake City once that sun crests down or once that sun goes down over the mountains.
Yeah, the crazies wake up.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, I've been there. It's fucking dark out there, son. It's dark. Oh, it gets dark. It's not Stillwater dark, but it gets dark in Utah.
Man, yeah, we've talked about Stillwater. I flew into Stillwater from Western New York, and dude, it is a change.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is a fucking change. We flew in. We didn't fly into Stillwater, whatever. If it's the Oklahoma City airport or whatever. But then we had to bus out to where we were staying, and it is just nothingness.
Yep.
It is so wild. When you say dark, it is dark.
Yep.
Dark out there. No city lights for hundreds of miles.
It's neon black, that sky.
That's a good way to put it. Then we close out the slate of top 25 games with Oregon, UCLA. Are we starting to see Oregon's offense kind of turn a corner here? Plus, UCLA is really bad. I get that, but
yeah,
they missed Chip Kelly pretty fucking bad. But Oregon is starting to turn a corner. Are you starting to feel more confident about? We talked about them as a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Gabriel has 15 incompletions on the year.
Right.
I don't imagine that UCLA is going to increase that total a whole lot. UCLA is not good. I've been, and you've been agreeing with me. Oregon has a ton of talent. They're going to figure it out at some point. Yep. They just are too good not to.
Yep.
Yeah, I just give me Oregon. It makes the most sense. I don't think UCLA puts up a whole lot of a fight here.
Yeah.
I will be watching Boise State anyways, and my other eye will be on this game.
Yeah, you probably get a little more excitement out of that game. Be a little more competitive than this one should be.
Yeah.
All right, bud. Hey, that wraps up our review and preview. You got any closing thoughts for us here?
Let's see. I think I got one off the board for you.
Love it. I love.
Yeah. So off the board here, we talked about South Florida earlier. We got South Florida and Tulane. Tulane, our Vegas darling. They're laying 5 points at home. A couple of 2-2 teams. I'm going to go with Tulane here. I think we also are obligated to talk about Colorado on this show. Where was it? They're playing UCF this weekend. Yeah, here we go. UCF, the Gus Malzahn offense with KJ Jefferson running point there for the boys. They're laying 14.5 at home. I'm all over UCF, dude. Like, I don't think Colorado is good. I just don't. They got lucky against Baylor last week. I can't imagine them going down to Orlando and putting on a show. I get that they're going, like, Shador's going back to his home state or whatever. I got it. Miss me with that, dude. UCF is a good football team. UCF is going to score points on that abysmal Colorado defense, and Shador might get his head taken off. I don't know. It's always a mystery with him what you're going to get. He's obviously uber talented, but that offensive line they're not good. They're not good. We also get Tobacco Road this weekend. Yes. North Carolina, who gave up 70 points to JMU. Shout out the Dukes.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I'm pretty sure they just punched another one in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
While we were on the show.
Yeah, I think so. 500 yards of offense from that quarterback. I mean, that's crazy. Shout out the Dukes, man.
Yeah. 3-0. They're picking right back up where they left off. They lost their coach. They lost quite a few players in the portal, but they're playing well again this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for like the ones I wanted to highlight as I'm looking at it. We get our first West Coast, East Coast Big Ten game. Washington going to Rutgers on Friday night. That's a conference game now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's a conference game in the conference that resides in the Midwest.
Yes.
So they're bringing the coasts together in a Midwestern conference.
Man, I got to find these games. Hang on. There's a lineup of games. It involved New Mexico and New Mexico State. Where was it? Oh, okay. So we got, Florida State, SMU, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and then New Mexico State. Only one of those games is a non-conference matchup, and it's the two teams that are in the same state.
That's fantastic.
Man,
That's
only in college football.
Only in 2024 college football.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that's right, because New Mexico is Mountain West, and New Mexico State is are they Sun Belt?
I believe so.
Yeah. Jeez.
Crazy. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody out there watching. Dad, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments, the interaction. We always appreciate it. This has been another episode of Tailgate Trash Talk, brought to you by Backyard Sports. For Bentley and the rest of us here at Backyard Sports, we are out.